This lady, in order to save her son who has leukemia, sold myself to the boss for $300,000. The deal was just for one night, but didn't expect it. After that night, the boss fell in love with this woman. After getting the money, she immediately paid for her son's surgery. Luckily, her son's surgery went well, but just when she thought everything was going in a good direction. But she was informed by her boss that she was required to accompany him on a business trip abroad. Although she wanted to be with her son, but in order to make a living, she could only get on a plane. On the plane, all she could think about was her son, but her boss kept testing her because he wanted to know what kind of person she was. The woman didn't want to talk to him at all, only talk to him about work because of her ability as a professional. The project was successfully signed. The boss saw that it was still early. He invited the woman to have a drink to celebrate, but the woman refused. In the face of his own temperament and grandeur, no woman has ever refused him. The boss was puzzled by the woman's behavior. Seeing this as useless, he planned to be more direct. I'll add another 100,000. Drink with me once, but he didn't expect the woman to turn around and leave in anger. The boss was baffled. Why did it work the first time? Now it's not okay. By now, the woman had already packed her bags. She was ready to go back alone. The boss went forward and stopped her. He apologized for what he just said and said there are no more flights. He asked the woman to stay. We'll go back together tomorrow. The next day on the plane back, the boss couldn't help but ask, why did you agree the first time? But the woman kept her mouth shut. As soon as she got off the plane, she rushed to the hospital with her luggage. At this point, her son is doing very well. The doctor came by and said the operation was a success. The bone marrow didn't reject him. The woman hugged her mother happily. As long as her son was cured, all she had done was worth it. Meanwhile, the boss was sitting in his office, takes out cell phone and wants to call this lady, but he doesn't know what to say. That's when his friend Jack came over. Seeing that he's been moping for the past few days, just proposed a children's charity event and invited him to join us. The boss agreed straight away, because whenever he has time, just think of that woman. But he didn't realize the place where they attended the event. It's the hospital where the woman is. At a children's charity event, heard the dean say, not long ago, a single mom raises money in order to save her leukemia-stricken son. He followed Dean gaze and saw the woman. At that moment, the boss understood everything, but when he thought of his previous behavior towards the woman, he felt ashamed to face the woman. The woman also was surprised to see the boss here, but soon she got up and went outside, because whenever she saw her boss, she would think of the night she was humiliated. When she walked out of the hospital, she couldn't hold it in any longer. All the grievances and heartaches came to her. At that moment, the boss also came out and saw the crying woman at once. He wanted to go up and comfort her, but he didn't have the courage. Turned around and laughed. At this time, the boss's good brother Jack also understood what the boss had done. He sympathized with the woman, so he wanted to go and see her, but he didn't realize that the woman wasn't in the hospital room, only saw her lovely son. Then Jack rushed back to the office and asked the man, why don't you go see that woman? Your first reaction is to run away. Are you still a man? These words certainly rubbed salt into the boss's wounds. He finally shouted, I'll give her at least $300,000. Every word of Jack spoke to his heart. He decided to go to the woman himself to explain the situation. When he pulled up in front of the woman's house, he decided to make a phone call first. When the woman saw it was her boss, directly hung up the phone, so he went up and knocked on the door. Seeing that the boss had come in person, the woman was surprised for a second. She wanted to close the door. The boss stopped her in her tracks. Then he apologized for what happened before. I didn't realize you used the money in order to save your son, but why didn't you explain the situation to me? The woman was furious and said, did you ask me how I felt? The next day when the boss arrived at the office, he got a letter of resignation. That the woman wanted to quit her job. He immediately approached her with a resignation letter. You've been in charge of the Dubai project. The project isn't finished yet. Are you just going to walk away? I won't let you leave. But the woman was adamant about leaving. At that moment, the boss told the employees to leave. He went over to the woman. Then he said, in a begging tone of voice, you mustn't mix work and life. We agreed on one night only. But the woman says, you're the one who broke the rules first, because you talk about $300,000 every day. She said that and turned around and left, leaving the boss with a helpless look on his face. As soon as the woman came out, she ran into Jack. So she said to the second boss, the boss doesn't approve of her resignation. Seeing his buddy Jack's passionate attitude towards the woman, the boss was very upset. Jack also invited the woman to his office, said he was willing to be a listener, letting the woman talk about her problems. The woman knew what Jack was up to, so she didn't say anything to Jack. Jack had no choice but to send the woman out. But that very night, the boss again asked her not to quit her job, but the woman refused. The boss knew that the woman was doing it for his own reasons, so he said he would quit the company for a while. Jack will be the woman's top boss. Seeing the boss's sincere attitude, the woman finally chose to forgive him, so she came back to the company the next day. The boss also announced in front of everyone that he would quit the company for a while, but what the boss didn't expect was, his departure had created an opportunity for his good brother. In the absence of the boss, Jack and this woman's relationship grew stronger with each passing day. One day Jack approached the boss, said he was in love with a girl. He was going to confess his love to her tonight. The boss didn't know that the girl was the woman he liked. He also wished his good buddy Jack a successful courtship tonight. But in the evening, Jack asked the woman out, just when he was about to confess his love. Didn't expect the boss to come over.